We are now joined at the podium by Oregon head coach Kelly Graves and student athletes Tahina Paupau and Niara Sabali. Coach, if you don't mind starting us off with an opening statement, and then we'll take questions for the student athletes.
First of all, I do want to congratulate Belmont. They earned it. They played really, really hard. They played really well. It's a team that's going to be tough going forward. Disappointed certainly. I thought it was neither team shot it well, but I thought it was a well-played basketball game by both teams. Certainly exciting. We both had chances to win, regulation and each overtime, and it just seemed like we didn't make that right play other than the shot at the end of regulation when we needed to, and credit them. The first thing we wanted to do defensively, our game plan was to take away the three-point line, and they made 12. I mean, they took 36, but they made 12. We made 4. So, I'm no rocket scientist, but that's a 20-point difference. So we talked about if we make them make twos, I didn't think they could make enough twos to beat us. I still stand by that, but they got 12 threes. And, it's just proud of our team. I'm proud that, especially these two, they played really, really hard. It's just kind of been our season in a nutshell, to be honest with you. We just have never been able to really put it together. From injuries in the early season to just some inconsistencies late. And, it's disappointing because I felt like we had the kind of team that could win some games in this tournament, but it's not to be.
All right. We'll now take questions for the student athletes.
Niara, that last play in double overtime, was it drawn that you were looking for Tahina there and then she's blanketed on that near side? What happened just right at the end?
Yeah, we drew that play up. It was basically the first open look we could get. Obviously, Tina was our first option, but Sedona shaping up was our second. But they took that away. So
for each of you, Tina, just walk through the final play of regulation, especially really the back screen that Sedona sets in order to get you free there, and what that was like hitting that in Niara at the end of the first overtime to, at that point, save the season. And for you and Kylie to come up with those blocks in those moments that preserved this game, that kept the season alive, those 2 moments.
I wasn't shooting the ball particularly well from the three-pointer, from the perimeter, but that just goes to show that my coaches had trust and faith in me that I'd knock it down from the corner, and Niara had a great pass to me, and I knocked it down.
I don't really know what to say. In that moment, I don't really think in those moments. It just kind of happened. So, obviously it was a great block in the end, but I also got screened before that. So, felt great in the moment. Doesn't really matter now, if you ask me.
Question over here on the left again.
Niara, I'm not going to bother to ask you about future. Your mind's everywhere. But if this is the way to go out, that is without question the best game of your career, by far. That is a career high in scoring. That is nearly a triple-double. And obviously you played with Sab and knows what that means. What does this I know it's in a loss, but what does it mean to you that you just went out and had far and away the best game of your career in this tournament? You waited this long. There were people in the building. This has been quite the journey.
Yeah, it was a good game. It looks good on paper, but I don't really feel too great right now. I could have put up 60 points for all I care, but in a loss, it just doesn't sit that well. I know it's probably good for my stats and stuff, but I don't know. I can't really think about the points I scored or the blocks I had or the rebounds. It just hurts right now. So I don't really know what to say.
Tahina, you weren't able to be in the tournament last year with the injury. You got the experience, and were at the end of regulation the person with the ball in your hands to hit that shot. What's that journey just kind of been from where you were last year sitting and watching this all unfold to being the person in that moment on this stage?
It was a great experience. March is very much madness, obviously. Just to experience that, it was a great ride for me, but we're going to come back stronger next season.
A couple more for the student athletes.
Tahina, wanted your perspective on this team was not as strong from three, and obviously you guys lost some shooters in the offseason in T. Mike and Jazz. And frankly in Chavez. Is it as simple as that? Is that three really talented shooters, as talented as some of you guys are from three? This was a weaker three-point shooting team compared to last year, compared to any of Kelly's teams. How does that get fixed going forward? Does somebody else need to come in to help you guys? Is it about spreading the floor? Is it about distribution? What's going to be the fix to improve that next season?
I mean, we obviously lost great shooters, but we also had to play with the players that we had this year. And even though we were one of the weaker teams in the perimeter, we still had great inside game. And in order for that to get better, we just got to get in the gym and come together and be more consistent.
Any more questions for our student athletes? Okay, thank you both for joining us.
Good job, you guys. Take off.
We'll now open up for questions for Oregon head coach Kelly Graves. Right here on the left.
Kelly, so many of those moments down the stretch, from drawing up a play, that well-designed play, by the way, at the end of regulation to get that, especially when they have their best player down moments earlier, the season-saving blocks from Niara and Kylie at the end. Those are the moments that a higher seed is supposed to take advantage of and put a team away that's a mid-major. How were you guys unable to capitalize on those by the end of it?
Well, I think we started both overtimes with leads. I think 6 maybe in the first and 4 in the second. And, we just didn't tighten it up defensively. I thought there were some 50-50 loose balls on rebounds that they seemed to get. I thought there was about a 2-minute or maybe 1-minute stretch. I can't remember now if regulation or first overtime where we just went too fast and had a couple of turnovers that we shouldn't have. I thought, we got the ball inside when we needed to. I thought we had opportunities at the rim that coulda, shoulda. You got to make in these kind of games. You got to make those. Bottom line is, though, I think we just so inconsistent. Our shooting has not been great. And when you have a night with, Niara had, like you said, one of her best games, if not her best game, we just needed one more. And it's funny, we put on the board and our keys to success. Every possession matters, 40 minutes. How about the offensive rebound they got with a second to go in the first half? I mean, that's the tough part about losing close games. It's one play here, and you can go, gosh, if we would have just done this and this and this. And it's kind of been a microcosm of our season, quite frankly. We just have never really been able to put everything together. And that's on me. That's my fault. I didn't pull the right triggers. The question about the shooting, I mean, we're a better team than we were last year. So we didn't win 2 games in the tournament like we did, but I thought we were a better team. We don't have the dead eyes, and we've got to, either just get in the gym and be better for what we have or go get some others. But I think what we have is enough, and it just wasn't tonight. And I credit Belmont. Those guys, you say mid-major, I say bullshit. They're a good team, man. That's a good team.
Here on the left.
Kelly, the last 2 years, I think you've remarked at various points how they've been uniquely challenging in their own ways. As this program's gotten to this level where you've gone from the hunter to the hunted, and perception-wise nationally, what's been unique just about the challenges of these past 2 seasons specifically?
Well, there was never a season like last year, so we'll just throw that out. This was difficult. I mean, it was just difficult. And I'm not going to make excuses because we had everybody available in this tournament. But you guys well know we never played with our best team until January. okay? And we showed some flashes of really good basketball. We've shown flashes of not very good basketball. The consistency just wasn't there. I think at times our players have acted and performed entitled. I mean, we have had a nice run. This is the first time since 2000, well, I mean, we've made it at least to the Sweet 16 every year since 2017. First round exit in a long time. You know, this group hasn't won anything. We haven't won a Pac-12 championship. We haven't won in the NCAA tournament with great depth. So, you know, I think we've got to come back and work harder and be tougher. I think at times we're not tough. I think there were times tonight. I mean, at some point you just say, hey, toughen up, let's go. Okay, I know you're banged up, don't matter. We need you. And I just think, you know, that happens, and I think it's a mindset. I think we've got to come back and hungrier, because we're no longer the hunted. You know, we're hunting like everybody else.
A couple more in the room, and then we have 2 in the Zoom.
You touch on it there, Kelly, and we've obviously spoken throughout the season about this sort of issue. You mentioned the dead eye, so okay, looking for skill is one thing, but much of what you speak of is the intangible. How will you go about identifying the players you've signed, but in terms of any other additional talent acquisition, the portal, et cetera, identifying personality, identifying the alpha who you have not had these past 2 seasons?
Yeah, well, that's the golden question. I mean, we're all searching for that. Some have it, some don't. You know, and it's kind of funny, in the last few recruiting cycles, we haven't had a chance to do in-home visits and find out. I think you find out a lot when you sit down in somebody's living room. We haven't had to do that, or we haven't been able to do that in the last couple of years. And so, yeah, we're missing that alpha. And oftentimes, if it comes from the coach, that leadership, then we're in trouble. You know, and we have leadership capability, and leadership shows up from time to time, but it's the consistency. It's if I had to kind of boil the whole season down into one word, it's inconsistencies. Daily effort, game production, leadership, coaching. I didn't do a great job. I was inconsistent as well. Same with my staff. We've just got to somehow either nurture that, recruit that, empower that. You know, we've just got to do a better job, and we didn't. And I thought it came back to bite us tonight, and it certainly did in several games this year. That being said, you know, James, seriously, I'm really proud of our crew. I don't want to be down. I'm disappointed about the loss. Not disappointed about the season. I love these guys. This group has really been close knit. I think at times that hurts us on the court because we're all pretty nice to each other and things like that. But you know, we did a lot of really, really good things. I mean, and you know the challenges that we've had, the multiple games, and we really didn't have a chance to work on us for the last month until the last few weeks, and you know, and that hurt. But I don't want to take anything away from Belmont tonight. Those kids earned it. They earned it. I'm happy for them that they're moving on. Obviously disappointed that we're not, but this isn't a get back to the drawing board. Yeah, we're not to that point. Yeah, we just got to do better.
Here on the left, then one on the right, and then we'll take 2 in the Zoom.
Kelly, defensively, this team played pretty well today on, you know, in most stretches, and over the course of the season has looked pretty good in most stretches. That seems like it's been a pattern now for a few years, since really I think after that Final Four, when you mentioned wanting to make this team a bit more of a defensive presence. Have you sensed that change this year? Is there, you know, any, I know you lost, but is there any sense of pride in just the defensive effort that's been put in on that side of the ball and the improvements made there this year?
Yeah, our defense was better this year. There's no question about it. Significantly better. Now, that being said, there were stretches. You know, you can't give up threes in overtime when you've built a lead. Make them make the twos. And we're just, you know, we helped on a, you know, off the strong side shooter. Just, you know, they mean well, but tactically that's not what you can do. And then they made you pay. They made you pay. Yeah, offensively, I thought this year was our challenging side of the ball. Our defense was pretty consistent. Our numbers have been better than they've been in a long time, since I've been here anyway. It's just now offensively we've struggled a little bit. I think we have good offensive players. It's just not quite, we're just not quite there, again, with the consistency.
You're on the right.
Coach Maria Cornelius, 247 Sports Tennessee. It is a quirk of the women's tournament that, a 5 seed would travel this far to play a 12 seed. And you mentioned yesterday it essentially became a home game for Belmont. Is that just where the women's game is right now, or is there a chance to look at where you could perhaps create a field that doesn't give one team such a, an advantage on what is supposed to be, of course, a neutral court?
Yeah, listen, the crowd didn't affect the game tonight. And I hate to say anything because the knuckleheads who haven't followed me in the past, they're going to read a quote, and then they'll say, oh, yeah, sour grapes, on and on. I just think the women's NCAA tournament needs to evolve and continue to strive to make it a better product, fair. Hey, listen, tonight was a good basketball game. People were treated to an exciting game. Crowd, no factor. The travel wasn't a factor. I've never been that. I'm never going to make, put blame on that kind of stuff. We had our chance. We had shots at the rim. We had an open three-point look when we were down 2 there in the second overtime. You make that, and who knows how this thing goes. We had our opportunities, okay? And whether that was in Tennessee, North Dakota, Texas, or Oregon, I don't think it would have mattered. So I just think we need to continue to make this game a better and brighter experience for everybody and make it truly a fair event. But people are always going to kind of play close to home, things like that. Yeah.
Thank you, Coach. We'll let you get out of here on that one.
Okay. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you all for joining us today.